Welcome to Radio Essence. My name is Susanne Lindberg and I'm recording from Amsterdam, the Netherlands. As I said last week, today I would love to talk about my practice. It's not easy for me to, with a few words, to describe what I'm doing. So now I take the opportunity, 1 hour, and kind of create a picture of my activities. The only thing I've been able to say with a few words is, it works. First of all, the name. Come with a name like the essence of living. The name of this recording. It's easy to take a name what you can't live up to. When this name came into my head for the first time, several years passed before I could say, yeah, it feels okay. I have the foundation, so I can feel good with that name. Let's start with treatments. And with that I mean the physical part of my work. When I started, I remember I said it was based on a combination of Sai Tai and something else. I can't remember. And then I have to tell you about this Sai Tai. There was a Japanese woman who needed people to work with. And mostly we were working there, 3 women, one then Japanese, and an American and me from Sweden, so 3 continents together. And yeah, there were different parts. There was a part that you can call, it's kind of hand healing. It's, I think the name was Yoki. At least the part Kiva was there. Like Reiki, but there's no initiation or something strange, but just working with your hands. But the interesting part was, if I don't confuse it with a Japanese dish, it was called Katsugon Ondo. And that's a hard one to explain. There was a kind of introduction, there was a kind of ending, but in between, if you had seen it, you would have thought we were crazy. Let's take a person who has a certain part of the brain damaged, so they can't control their body, so it moves around in a very strange way. Let's say that something like that is what you would have seen. So it's very interesting, this thing of the Japanese, very controlled people, socially, physically as well, developing something that is so not controlled. And it's then no technique involved. It's no Tai Chi or anything like that. It's actually something where I learned a lot about how things are functioning. If I now, at this moment, let go of that little control we all have, we learn it very early in our childhood, I can turn it off, and there my arm starts moving. There are tension, and my arm knows precisely what to do to get rid of it. And therefore these movements, throwing around, and it looks crazy. But somewhere I managed to use that and combine it with something I know from myself even before, that if you gave me your back, my finger just went straight on your sore spot. It always knew where to find it. Except that part, we did some exercises. I remember one that has been very good to use with musicians and in music teaching in general. Even used it in other situations as well. But that is about what I know about Sai Tai. I was told there was a third part where you trained yourself and could become a master on a very high level. A quick search now on the internet gave me a dating site. I did go to a bookshop in Stockholm, on Drottninggatan by near London. They didn't have anything, but I met an older man who lived 10-20 meters further away. He took me home, he showed me a book, and it's a thick book. It said "Say Thai," and that's all I remember. I don't even know what language it was written in. According to this Japanese woman whose name I can't remember, she was an artist. But she said we were the only one she knew in the Netherlands, and she knew there were some people in Germany doing the same thing. I would love to meet her again, but I lost contact with her. So imagine me with one tensed muscle. I mean, you can stretch it out like a massage or do something else to make it relax, force it. Or what I do, I kind of talk with that muscle. Having a kind of dialogue. The muscle is never tensed because it wants to. It is tensed because the nerve gives the signal. Tense. I'm giving another suggestion. I haven't met any single muscle who really want to be like a stone. I can give the suggestion and it loves it, it goes with me, and even the nerve can get convinced. There is some kind of two-way communication there, but in severe cases I can recommend a couple of treatments with a chiropractor, a good one. I like the ones educated in London. The Americans are to me a little bit too rough. Because I do think that the combination of these two treatments can be very powerful. So what I'm talking about is no healing. I know that part. And it's manual work. But I don't have a technique in the sense of naming it something. So can you then imagine if you take away the body, you take away the hands, and let's work with the rest? The rest being mind, thinking, emotions, and something I would call energy. I don't want to make it too complicated now, but to me, emotions and what I call energy is like two words of the same thing. There might be people that are telling about their other levels and things, but I like to keep it on a level where you can experience, kind of daily life experience. So if I have a problem in describing my physical treatments, how do I describe the rest? Because it's actually the same thing. There's no technique. But just as my hands have taught me how the body functions, how things are put together, this work with the wrist has taught me how the human being is put together emotionally, energy, and the relationship with thinking, the whole package. But to make some kind of order in this, I will first start to talk about the tool, now not being my hands. And after that, to describe some things I've done, and as well as the last point, the different issues I've been working with. I would like to add that I don't consider my physical treatments as being an important part of my work. But it's there because I have the experience of being a severe case and find out that there's very little that really works. Of course, these treatments do work, but in severe cases, very little does work. I can tell you about, I had 2 years of treatment in a practice of someone called Nullet, a physiotherapist. He was supposed to be treating half the Concertgebouw Orchestra. And during those 2 years, there were no improvement. And because I know very much that the longer you walk around with these pains, the longer it takes to treat them. After that, I ended up with a healer, and his method was to push the sore spots until they were not sore any longer. And I do not want to treat as I've been treated. I want to see results. Before starting, I want to tell that within this time, I want to see this kind of results. If I see it doesn't go that direction, I want to find out why. Is the person doing something that works against it? Is there some emotional issue that is stuck in the muscle somewhere? Something that explains, and then making a new decision. I am sorry to say I don't have any personal experience of receiving this kind of treatment, but as far as I know, it doesn't hurt and you don't have pain afterwards. Sometimes I combine these things, but let's go back to the other department and talk about the tool. The tool not being the hands, but what you can call a kind of knowing. Just like my hands know where to go, this is a knowing. Clairvoyance is being something else, but I've heard the term intuitive intelligence. Maybe that's a term that comes in the neighborhood. But you have things you can find, like, have you seen the dog whisperer? He works in his manner, but he's using that too. And you have remote viewing, developed by the American military during the 80s. I have put a video under a playlist with this list having the same name as this video on my YouTube page, and it's teaching remote viewing. Those people who developed this technique, after it stopped, I've heard the reason why, and it was not that it didn't work. They went on and been teaching this and using this for several purposes. Let's say they are looking at the world spying when using this tool, and I've used this tool for the inner world. I got very excited when I heard about this for the first time. And there are so many things in common, and they have the same problem as me. The hardest being time and place. I do not like to predict. I have prediction, and next week I think I will include in my story one experience I've had with predictions. That is the reason why I just don't like it. One the things that differs is the process. They have a very strict program when searching for something, as well when they are teaching this, a very strict program, and as well I hear them saying they don't know how. As I'm using this tool for my inner world, I'm actually working where the tool is, so I have a direct knowledge of this tool. So I do not need a strict program when using this. It's much more simple than that. And there is as well for me no question. as how it works. I did follow an education. It's about 20 years ago I was following an education that gave me the tool to work with, and as well started a process from where I've learned the things I've learned and developed my own kind of work. The hardest thing when I was learning this was for myself to believe I could. But it's actually so easy, and everyone can do it. It is like something we all do. A very strange experience I've had. It was during my education. I went out dancing, and I was sitting staring there at a man. I do not like to stare at people, but I couldn't stop. And yes, he was attractive, yes, but it wasn't the reason. I experienced a thing of not seeing. So I'm talking about another seeing, and there had the experience where that it wasn't there. I could see him with my eyes. My ears were perfect, but there was something else I just couldn't see. And the difference is so big, so I couldn't stop staring at him and wonder, who is he, why is this, and so on. I have never had that before or later in life, this experience, but it made it very clear to me how huge this other seeing actually is. We know the past, we know the future, we know the mental, emotional, physical stage, we know everything. And luckily, we're not conscious about that. Not even me. I just know what I need to know when I work, and that's it. I had heard, and I asked someone I met. He was teaching communication, that being a science. And he said, yes, he teach. If you're having a conversation, about 80–90%, I can't remember the exact number, is body language. I really told him, if you do follow a course with me, you would have to change your own teaching. Because there is something else going on, where they just don't have a word for it. This so easily is placed in the spiritual, new age, alternative corner. I got visions. Visions that tell more than words can possibly tell. I have one vision that I like very much. It's not as telling, maybe, but I do like it. And outside my door, 15 years ago, I planted a rose. It's a rose climbing the wall, and just when those roses, when they open, they just look like marzipan roses. And I don't know if you know what that is, if you're not grown up in Sweden. But you do have IKEA. And at IKEA, maybe they have changed, but the last time they had this kind of one portion kind of thing of prinsesstårta. It's in the freezer. It's a green marzipan layer, and under it's like cake, jam, cream something. Very, very nice. I thought for the first time when I saw it, I thought, I mean, you have to be at the conditorry for that. But actually, frozen, it is delicious. Earlier they had the real stuff thing, and that's a big cake. And if you buy it at the conditorry, for sure there should be a rose, a pink rose, in the middle on this layer of green marzipan. Okay, my rose is not pink. It's white with a dark pink edge, and it's called Handel. And I played some Georg Friedrich Handel music in the past. I like to see this rose in the middle as the essence of our existence. Those slices cut in the cake being different approaches, like science, you have religion, maybe politics, you have psychology, you have the spiritual, philosophical, you have all kind of pieces. You might feel comfortable with a certain piece and maybe even work in one of these pieces. They all try to approach the essence of our existence in their own way. But the thing is, there's only one who reached that rose, or they have to cut it in pieces to share it. But when you're busy with one slice of this cake, there's so many other slices you miss. It's like there's no truth in any one of these pieces. On the level we live today, we are not capable of grabbing much of this essence of existence. But let's say that there I want to work. And there is my approach as far as humanly possible. And every person work from the point where they are. But I want to make it simple. Take psychotherapy, and you see it like a spider web, and you follow the thread, and it's very complicated how things are connected and so on, and you go through, what is it, 2-3 times a week for a couple of years. Instead of getting stuck somewhere in spider web, I prefer the simple approach. There is a space, there is a spider, and there is a web, a thread. So what do I call what I do? The only name I have found is what you see, the name of this recording. The essence of living. Because I haven't found any kind of word that covers it all. As I explain my physical treatments, there's no real technique. And the work with the rest goes so much in line and actually very much function the same as my physical work. And if I put a kind of name on it, people automatically put it in one of these slices and react, oh, that's interesting, or oh, that slice, that's nothing for me, without even trying to get a deeper understanding what is going on. So let's talk about some work I've done in the past. And I would like to start talking about the work I've done with children. It just happened once. It was a little bit of a tryout. That worked very well. Small little group. But to go on with it, I wanted another workspace, and that didn't happen, and I forgot about it. But what I did was I had a monster club. I would love to know how much children actually do have this monster under the bed or in the wardrobe. So it's so common. To me, I really believe it happened after a certain kind of split. Did I have it as a child? I think so, but I can't remember. but I do have a, a memory came up of something I think really was that kind of split. I was dancing with my father and laughing. I mean, I was probably a couple of years old, not more. And he, by accident, kicked a kind of glass wall we had, a window, and it broke. And at that moment, dancing and laughing, and something broke. I know I cried hysterically. And there is a photo of me when I'm sitting in front of a birthday cake with one candle, and I'm really shining like a sun. I've hardly seen children so shiny like I did at the time. As well as I know that when this thing happened with my father, we dancing, having pleasure, and it broke, the sun actually left. And so what I'm telling is that this split can happen by very innocent things. Of course, parents make mistake, but it doesn't need to. No one made a mistake at that moment. So that's my theory about the cause of this split. But what does parents do when the child is screaming and say there's a monster under the bed? They have a look and they say there's nothing there, and does it help? Is what I want to ask. Not really. So what I'm doing there, I like to turn everything upside down, do everything the opposite. And they're doing this monster club. We start. I have found a book, a Dutch book with there's a crocodile under my bed, I think the name is, and I'm reading that, and we are drawings, and it goes on that direction. The last time your children do really look this monster in the eyes, and it's amazing what they discover. And at that moment, the fear is just gone. And this work, I have done this with grown-ups as well. It's really fun. So, but so this is what I've done with smaller children, and I remember I was thinking about I would love to reach teenager. I mean, what turmoil that time can be, and how many doesn't consider suicide? I did, I know, and not capable to make any kind of action, but I several times wanted to commit suicide. So, but mostly the people you reach are those who have gone through life facing the same issue time after time after time. So people mostly do not start this kind of work before they are 30, 40, 50, something like that. But I know I would have loved to work with that turmoil, what change it could make. I have worked with one. He was 18. It was in Venezuela. Luckily, I had lived several years in England, so his English was perfect. This was actually in my beginning of my own work, so it's a long time ago. And he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. I can't put that diagnosis on it. He told me he smoked pot once, and after that things went crazy. What I could do for him was the things he was seeing, strange things, it was there, and I could describe it for him. Have you? You might have read these books from someone called Castañeda. It's about someone going to study with a Mexican Indian who is using mushrooms to get to another dimension. Let's say what I saw him see was that he had broken through a barrier to another dimension. I could help him close that seeing it in a way that my task in this is to guide someone. So he did it. I told him if you can close it, you can open it, you can do whatever you want. And guiding him in this, he didn't need to see this other stuff. There was something else going on. We did go on a little bit working, but I left. So, and I don't know how it went, but I gave him tools. So I had a feeling he had a hard life in front of him. He broke with his mother. That's the only thing I know. But I had a feeling he was an old soul, and one day, it might be this, about now, he would have found the path. This is kind of extreme kind of things. I mean, I prefer to work on another, more kind of down-to-earth kind of things. But I know if it's necessary, I'm capable of doing it. I as well would like to talk about someone I gave treatments. It was an older man. He had a problem with walking. It was very severe. I told him I needed actually a intense period of time to be able to make any kind of real difference. But he came once a week. But the first time I talked with him, I suppose it was Alzheimer. He couldn't remember what he said 10 minutes earlier. And you saw this very insecureness of someone who knew he didn't remember what he said 10 minutes ago. What happened during these treatments? He got his memory back. I know one part of treatment is awareness and presence. I stimulate that. It's something that is needed for problems not to return. And I believe if you were in front of me, I can show you, you're not thinking in your brain. We're not present. You're for sure not 100% present in your body. And it's my first lesson every course to demonstrate and make you experience what I'm talking about. And the older we get, we more and more leave our body. I think Alzheimer is a part of leaving even more and not functioning well. So this treatment helped him to return. And he was completely clear in his mind, no memory problems. I don't remember for how long he came, and as well, after he stopped coming, I have no idea what happened. But imagine if a regular massage could be enough to treat Alzheimer. I don't know if massage is enough or if it has to be my way of working, but it's a direction to go. I have talked about attention earlier on my recordings. As last week, I did talk about the subject from another point of view, actually less than my intention. But it's such a, such a huge building stone on the foundation of everything I do. I have had, 3 really severe cases in my practice. Like I do self-name disease. But what I do need from everyone coming here is motivation. And if you in such a state, motivation is a very hard thing, and only one of them really was motivated. We worked for some time together until the moment when we said we had done together what we could do. There had been a lot of progress, but the path was up and down, especially when he wanted to stop with the drugs. I am not capable to give any kind of recommendation when someone is on drugs, and I could see that it had a function. And as well, the thing I really wanted to get to was emotional wounds as being like a motor behind everything. But if someone is on drugs, it's impossible to really get to that point. But it was, I think, less than a year ago. He rang on my doorbell, and you know, the process doesn't stop with people leaving your door. What I saw in him was something completely new that I've never seen before, and it was really beautiful. And then there are those who just comes once, who just need a little thing to fall in place, and they can change what they want to change. But mostly, I have to say, when someone just comes once, it's like they didn't really get it. The second time could have given them the chance to let everything fall in place and being able to use what I have tried to give. I never kind of make a thing like, what is it, psychotherapy? Twice or three times a week for several years? I mean, no. I want to see someone when they are stuck and need something, or when they want to take a next step. The only kind of schedule is a course, 10-week course, and or maybe I have some shorter, just for fun sometimes, with tarot cards. It doesn't do so much. It's not so much of this work, but it's teaching the tool, the kind of introduction. I have some people who have really worked hard. I want to mention someone who she had 2 children on welfare, married. She had problem just to do her groceries. She had such a fear of going outside among people. I've never seen someone working so hard and even doing homework that I actually do not ask anyone to do. And what happened is she got a job at a publisher. She became some kind of boss. I don't know. I didn't really get detailed information, but she climbed that company very fast. She divorced, he married again. They bought a house and they left the country. So that kind of experience, seeing these people they change from everything from how they dress, their hair, their body posture. They change their whole life. Their job. They're moving. They are. I have several divorces in my practice because if someone starts to feel bad about themselves, they just don't want to stay in a bad relationship. It doesn't function. And but I do have marriages as well, so it's beautiful. As a friend, I did sit there and advise someone. Sometimes I was sitting there saying that, oh, I don't dare to divorce him, what should I do, and this problem, that problem, and me telling kind of, if you stay, this and that, and you can, and so on. And the moment when she was sitting, oh, I have to leave him, it's not good, and and so on, I sit there and tell about, yeah, but if you leave, these are the consequences. So every time she took one position, I was talking the other, because I believe that someone should, in making such a decision, look at all aspects. I'm sure her ex-husband still believes that I talked her into it. So, and what kind of issues do I work with? I have mentioned a little bit about my Monster Club, because if you look at all issues and go to the very root, you end up with there is pain and there is fear as underlying causes. And even you can look at fear and see it's fear for pain. So pain being the main issue in all aspects. I think I've told during earlier recordings about how fun it is to work with fear. And that I used to talk about two qualities of good functioning fear. And if you were sitting in front of me now and you would react wherever your thoughts going at this moment, I'm quite sure I would have to say, but I talk about good functioning fear. And everything you would get into your mind about fear is to me not good functioning fear. And actually that this woman who was so afraid, so she had problem with doing her groceries, to me that is not a severe case. That's not the disease I talk about. It's just emotional messed up. To me that's very easy to work with. And then we had pain. I have no idea what kind of, but he was a therapist. And I did ask him if he knew anyone specialized in emotions within psychology. And he couldn't think about anyone. I have done some search and I found out that they do exist, but psychology not making that as a main issue. It's like they do not understand how a human being is put together. As far as I have searched here in the Netherlands, it's supposed to be one person. And he has written books, but what I've read until now is an interview. And it made me happy surprised reading until he got to the point where he says, yeah, pain, something we do not understand. We do not know what to do with it, and we have to learn to live with it. And at that point, he lost me completely, and I stopped reading. If you sit with emotional pain, and you would take the attention and go to the very, very core of that pain, the very essence of emotional pain, what is it made out of? I want to give you a clue. It's kind of very nice relationship with this. If you watch yourself or someone else crying, there's a lot of physical work going on. A lot happening in the body. I would love to see people coming here before committing suicide. Pain is if you're at that stage, you are really so completely in that pain. There might be something that can be healed. There might be a kind of, like what I'll do a lot, I turn things upside down. there can be an aspect of this life that could be okay. I don't want to go into religion, but there is this teaching of reincarnation. Is it true? Is it not true? Beware that, was it 300 to 400 years after Christ, there came a group of people together, including a Roman emperor, deciding what should be included in the Bible and what not. So it was not the work of God. I don't know, I don't think it was in his interest. They did this work. And they decided not to include reincarnation. I'm not telling there is reincarnation. I have experience enough for me to say that's probably the way it is. But you do take the risk of having to come back and do it all over again. You have the thing with all these drugs that are given. I would love to see you before you start with these drugs, prescribed by a therapist. Because, what do they say? They tell you have a chemical imbalance. I suppose you've heard this expression. If you already have a bottle at home, did you take that test? Where they show that, yeah, because of this chemical there, that we could change to this, you feel like this and like that. I can tell you there is no test. And to say that chemicals are the and to tell that chemicals is the reason for how you feel, it's absurd. But those drugs, to me, it's like killing a fly with dynamite, and it makes a lot of damage. And this is information I've heard. I have no experience of it, but it's supposed to be harder to get off than heroin. And have you read the side effects? Being depression, suicidal, homicidal. I mean, why do you think that there are those going around with a gun and shooting people down? If you check the information, what comes, not directly, but a little bit later, these people are often in therapy, and what do they have? They have drugs. And maybe they wanted to stop with the drug. And then we have to defend ourselves from that kind of behavior, while the pharmaceutical industry is huge business. You have the big Bible. I think it's used, at least all over the Western world, kind of book where it says everything about symptoms, diagnose, and prescriptions, what kind of medicine you should use. I have it somewhere, but I've forgotten the name. There is coming a new version, or it has already come, I don't know. This is information I found maybe a year ago, or more. And there is even a diagnosis for those who haven't got any symptoms. And the drugs to be used. The health insurance follow this book. It's like the Bible of psychiatry. But it could as well be that you have small issues. Your inner world is not what you would like it to be, or you just want to learn more about yourself. Until now, I can say I haven't got across anything I can't work with. But yes, of course, I was on my way home. It was late. I got to my street, and there was a couple, very young couple, who had had an accident, and they were on the way trying to get home. I was checking the girl, and the boy kind of got in this kind of panic, so unconscious. And me thinking, oh God, I've never experienced this. But everything I do is from a point of not knowing. Even if I know things, the only place for me to work from is a point of not knowing. And I managed to get him conscious. Managed to keep him conscious and calm. Was able to work with his shoulder, his neck a little bit, but that leg, I mean, I couldn't touch it. I knew a broken leg, that's not for me. So I know my limits. There are many things I haven't got across until now. I mean, but if that was schizophrenia, what I was working with in Venezuela, I mean, then it's easy. But I think the diagnosis was wrong. Once I knew people who were organizing a market, kind of fun things in their neighborhood, and I was sitting there reading tarot cards, and there came a woman with her son. I think he was, let's say, 14. And yes, I did find the information a little bit strange for a 14-year-old boy. And he seemed happy. He left, and the mother came to me and thanked me and said she was very surprised about his behavior because he has autism. Then suddenly the information I got, everything made sense. But what I saw was a shy 14-year-old boy. We had communication. I can't remember if he said any words, but he nodded or something like that. There was communication, there was connection, and I would have loved to have worked with him. And he had as well chosen me. I didn't have this video at that moment, so I never heard from them, and I find it a pity. I have my ideas about eating disorders that could be very easy to work with. As well, I believe that a lot of those people who are drug addicts, alcoholics, in a mental institution, if you go to the real core of the problem, a lot of these people are just too sensitive. Very sensitive people who haven't learned to deal with their sensitivity. It's a very hard world to be sensitive in. And some learn to deal with it, and some don't. When I discovered that everything I felt wasn't my feelings, it was a big release, because it was too much turmoil in me. And my path was to develop my sensitivity even more, and be more aware, and as well work with other aspects, presence, and so on, together with it. I would love to end with one question. Who are you? Are you your name? Is that the answer you're giving me? It's not such a unique thing. Absolutely not like a fingerprint or DNA. You might identify yourself with your body, and if you lose some arms, legs, whatever, are you less? Think about this professor, this genius, Hawkins is his name, I think. I don't think he can speak on his own. If he would identify himself as being his body, he couldn't. Our language is full of I am a doctor, I am a taxi driver, that you identify yourself with your doing. But sorry, I'm talking about who are you. Including in this is thoughts. Often people believe that if they have bad thoughts, they are bad. But the funny thing is that even good people, someone being really good person, can do a bad thing. And thinking is a doing, it's not being. So again, who are you? We have to learn about the whole world. We learn about doing. But I had to go the path of searching for who am I and what is the part that is made. Psychology hasn't solved that mystery. But because I was born in a family, not with bad parents, but they just didn't know who I was. So whatever they did wrong. So what I was made, I knew that wasn't possible for me to go that path, follow that path of what was done to me. I had to follow the path of finding out who am I. I think it would have been very sad to learn so much things, study so many things, and not doing the work of knowing who you are before you leave this world. And in that work, you do as well get confronted with what I really call beliefs. Like I was sure I can't dance. I'm stiff as I don't know what. I can't keep the rhythm. I was a typical musician who didn't move a finger too much. And Sai Tai, starting, and other things, I became one of the better salsa dancers here in Amsterdam, without having that background. I have had many beliefs in me challenged. So to me that is so important. But it is a choice for everyone to make. During the education I followed, someone was sitting giving me a reading. I was just sitting complaining about this and that and so on. And the person in front of me said, "You have chosen this." I thought it was crazy. How could I have chosen that situation I was in? Later, I remember something, and that being me making a decision. It was in the house of my parents, so I suppose I still were living at home. I made the decision to find my full capacity as a human being. You might have got some ideas after this, that my idea of the capacity of human being is more than what is the common one. But I still suspect that there is much more to discover. So I do not know. I don't have any picture on this earth where I can say, oh, that's full capacity. I mean, there are those people like Gandhi and Nelson Mandela who are as individuals and personalities able to influence the whole country. I think we are even more than that. And that decision explains my path in life that has been very different from the ordinary. But I really couldn't have imagined my life if I hadn't gone this path. It's a decision I made, and for everyone it's different. I work from the point where the person is at the moment and the direction the person wants to go. But give me a suggestion of a name of what I'm doing. What can I call this? I don't know one word that includes everything I'm doing. And there's even a part I haven't told you about. Next time I will tell a completely other story. If I told you now I've solved the mysteries of our being, let's say that next time I will tell you a story of the one mystery I haven't solved. It's not a beautiful story, but it gives another aspect of what I'm talking about. If you want to reach me, you find my Hotmail address on my YouTube page, radioessence@hotmail.com, and have a nice life.